All right. Let's get it going right here, right now. This is Eyes Up Here, and you're watching an all new YouTube member exclusive. You are watching, you like the title of this one? LIEAMANIA.
LIEAMANIA. It fits, doesn't it?
No, I don't think so, but we'll
Oh,
get into
God.
it.
You know what? Okay. If you're a Hogan mark, raise your hand. Yeah, see? Ridiculous.
I don't agree with that term, but I'm insulted by
Oh,
that. But we
please.
will
Oh,
get into it.
look, we can go back and forth all day about this. You know you are. You've said it before. You have professed your undying love for Terry Bollea to me several times. So don't try to come off like you're cool now and deny it, because you know you are. You're a Hulkamaniac.
I have an affinity for one Mr. Bollea,
You really
and
do.
I do. But we're going to get into some of the tall tales that have been supposedly said by the Hulkster over the last few years. But we've got a little bit of a spin that the Chadster is going to put on some of these tall tales that, look, there's 1,000 things out there now. This is a very popular topic. All you have to do is type in Hulk Hogan lies into the YouTube search bar. Tons of shows are covering it. What are we going to do to make ourselves stand out? And yes, I could call this LIEAMANIA, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit, Francine, and I'm going to ask you just point blank, if Hulk Hogan lies, then how come Hulk Hogan never, ever lied about his time in ECW?
I don't think Hulk Hogan is a fan of ECW.
Okay.
I really don't. I think he would come off like so many of the other old timers. Oh, I don't get it. That's that garbage wrestling, or that blood and guts company. That's the way I think he might come off. I could be wrong, because I've never met him. He's one of the guys in this business, the legends that I've never had the pleasure to meet. And let me just say, I would love to meet Hulk Hogan someday. Like, who wouldn't? Being in this business, I would like to meet my peers. But I was never a Hulkamaniac. I liked him when he was in the NWO. That's when I thought he was super cool. Like, I'm like, okay, now he's a heel, and the black and white gimmick. And that's when I really liked Hogan. I did not like the red and yellow phase. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
But if he's such a liar, he sure would have lied about being in ECW and being
He doesn't even know about
at the bingo hall. Look, he's holding the ECW title. Look, he's at the corner of Swanson and Rittner. Come on.
Maybe he did. And we just haven't heard that story yet. Maybe he's going to come and say that him and Paul were the ones who booked the first Barely Legal. Maybe he'll say something like that. I don't know. I mean, look, he might praise us. He might hate us. You never know. Most of the old timer guys, they think ECW was a joke. They think it was just nonsense, not real wrestling, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'm right. That's the consensus.
I do. But here's where I think the discussion of Hulk Hogan needs to begin. Okay. Is the old timers. They tend to tell tall tales. Okay. But I think a lot of these discussions that these guys had in cars, that maybe stayed in cars back in the 70s, back in the 80s, that now are being told out to the media, out to fans that have podcasts, and out to interviewers, they don't really resonate because they're being fed to the masses. And we could just fact check that. Hulk Hogan is arguably, and this is the mark in me, I guess, saying this, the biggest star in the history of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So what he says is going to carry a lot of weight, and people are going to say, no, that's bullshit. That's whatever. But in his mind, that's what happened. But he's been doing this for 40 years. So whether he believes it now that that's what happened, or he's just, maybe he's, look, what if he has dementia? What if he's
Wait a
had
minute. So
onset
stop.
dementia, you know?
Time out. So he has dementia now. You said he's been doing it for 40 years. So when he was 30 years old, did he have dementia or was he just a
No.
compulsive liar?
That's where I was starting to get off the rant. But like, okay, so
Oh,
let me go
okay.
back to my point. So the
You're getting
old-timers,
caught in your own lies right
the
now.
old-timers that tend to exaggerate about things and tend to say stuff that, look, a guy that I know that has been around for a long time, sometimes he says stuff that I'm like, that doesn't sound like it's right. But, he's saying it. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But my markdom, my time as a fan, no, maybe I think he's incorrect. But I'm not going to say anything right now. It happens.
Listen,
but I think he's just Hulk Hogan and he's under a bigger microscope than everybody else.
Is this like the little white lie you tell your children? You think you have it rough. I used to walk 40 miles in the snow with no boots on and just socks and slippers and those little white lies that motivate somebody. Or do you really think that he believes all these things happened? Does he think that Metallica really wanted him as a frontman for a singer? Like some of these things are so elaborate and so not believable that you have to look at this guy and say, what planet does he live on? Like that is 100% fabricated. Yeah. And it makes him look like a tool.
Yeah. I think he takes stories that he's heard and they like mold in his brain with other things that happened in the business in his career. And that like metastasizes into the actual story then that he tells.
You don't think it makes his credibility go way down? I do. I do.
Mean, maybe.
How many times can you say something that's not true? Like if I was an interviewer and I got the chance to interview Hogan and I knew it was going to be a bunch of lies, I would just sit there and laugh my ass off at him. Because you're not going to get any good content. It's going to be a bunch of bullshit, right? Why would anyone even want to talk to him about certain things if he's just going to lie all the time? Because now he's a running joke. Like people make fun of him constantly. Nothing to do with his work ethic. Because we know he was a powerhouse in the ring. Like you said, one of the greatest of all time, possibly. But when you open your mouth and all these lies come out and these stories that are ridiculous. If you went to school with a kid like this, you would be like, bro, shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
But because 100% you would. 100%. But because he's Hulk Hogan, are you giving him a pass? Is it okay because he's done so much for the business and he's, larger than life? Or can you call him on his bullshit? I would love for somebody to just be like, bro, that wasn't true. Everybody that interviews him and he seems to like tell these stories, they're just like, really? Oh, that's great. And nobody calls him on anything because they're scared to.
Right.
Nobody's going to question Hulk Hogan. As ridiculous as it sounds when it's coming out of his mouth, there's not one interviewer that's going to say that never happened.
I 100% agree with.
Yeah. Now, after the fact, when you're listening to the people talk and they're saying, well, that's not true. Like you hear some of, like you, I think before we came on Jim Cornette, you mentioned Jim Cornette did a whole one of these on it, was calling him out on his BS, right? Do you think Jim would tell him to his face? I don't know what their relationship is. I don't know.
If you saw him in person, they'd be yucking it up. He would give him a handshake.
I mean, I don't know if they're like on.
Hogan would do that. He'd go, Jimmy, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah,
and he'd go,
how good is their friendship? Can somebody like a Brutus Beefcake has always put over Hulk Hogan? Such good friends.
Not the best example of liars.
I'm just saying, or Knobs. We saw Knobs, with him at the restaurant eating. So I'm assuming they're really good friends. Can Knobs turn around and just be like, what the hell are you talking about? And maybe Hogan will be like, I don't know, I'm just bullshitting. Or is he going to say, bro, you sound like an idiot? Like he's close enough to Hogan to call him out. But an interviewer, like I would never say to him, dude, you are so full of shit. Because it's Hulk Hogan.
And you know what? And somebody like Jimmy Hart or Brian Knobs, who's there with him when he's traveling, might say like, are you talking about? And he might just
because
say
because the relationship,
kayfabe brother or working brother or something like
they
that. He
have
might.
that, yeah, they have that good friendship, but somebody like me who he doesn't know from Adam, and I'm interviewing the guy and he says, oh, I met Jesus Christ at the Last Supper. Did you? Oh my God, how was it? Was it great?
It's been good.
How was he to you? What was the dinner like? What you eat? Like, am I going to say you're full of shit, even though that story is ridiculous? No. Why? Because he's Hulk Hogan. Nobody's going to call him on his bullshit. No one. So that's why when you hear these stories, they are humorous and they are entertaining. But to me, I look at him and I'm just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like you said, does he have dementia?
Yeah.
Is it like, I'm not trying to get political, but Biden is talking all this stuff. He talks about things that were like before his time, or things that never happened, or things that he says he was at and he wasn't at. The world is making fun of him. Is the world making fun of Hulk Hogan for telling these elaborate stories? Yes.
Yes, they are.
The wrestling world is. I don't know about the rest of the world, but
let me grab something. Hold on one sec.
Oh no. That doesn't make
my buddy sitting on my lap.
That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it acceptable.
Hold on, now talk.
You're such a nerd. Look at it, ladies and gentlemen, please.
And this whole basement is the only wrestling thing that I have down here.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Only wrestling item.
Right. Well,
I keep it out because of the kids.
okay.
But
Sure.
I'm going to pull up an article by the Sportster, okay? And
I look at them all the time.
I'm going to show you why I think he confuses a lot of stuff. Okay, I think that he takes things he hears and things that happen in his career, and they become this giant ball of thought in his brain. But I think you hit the nail right on the head about nobody calling him out when he says something egregiously ridiculous. And I'll give the big one, the guy Chris Van Vliet or Villet or whatever, Villet or whatever. I don't know how you say his name, Mr. Pretty face and smiley teeth.
CVV.
Whatever.
Let's call him CVV.
Yeah, CVV. He's had plenty of chances to call him out.
Has it?
And he has it.
No one has. No one has. That's why in my mind, I'm saying on the side are his good friends going, Hulk, what the hell? What was that about? Like, what do you? And the Hulk is probably like, who cares? Nobody cares. I do what I want on Hulk Hogan. Oh, look at this.
This one. Mike Tyson was scared to face him in a boxing match. Okay. This one, I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I'll just explain it to you. Okay. He goes into a whole story about how there was going to be a charity boxing match between Hulk Hogan and Mike Tyson. And he says it's the 1980s. What he's confusing this with is that Mike Tyson was supposed to appear for the WWF in the 1980s, but after he lost when Mike Tyson finally got beat, Tyson's people pulled out, and he never appeared. Okay, he was supposed to appear on camera with Hogan. Hogan claims that he was too scared of him and he never showed up. That was the end of it. That was his
gimmick. Though, could he be talking in trying to work the people? He could, keeping the gimmick up.
When he's saying that they were supposed to have a boxing match in the 80s, he's talking about he was supposed to be on WWF TV as a referee one time.
A worked match.
And because Tyson lost,
I got it.
Yeah, they no-showed and they had to get some. I forget who it was. Buster Douglas, I think.
In this reference, I think he's keeping the gimmick alive because you never know when Mike Tyson's going to come back around and want to do that match.
Okay, next one. This is another one this is bullshit that people call him on this. He was supposed to be the face of the George Foreman grill. This is true. George Foreman has said this, that the Hogan camp passed.
I want to hear George Foreman say it.
I wish I had the time to.
Yeah.
I swear on a stack of Bibles, I heard George Foreman say that. Hogan, the way people rip Hogan for this, because he said, I was driving my kids to school and I missed the call from my agents and they passed and went to George Foreman after me. Very plausible in the non-cell phone era, in the mid 90s, when not everybody had a phone on them
All right,
available.
time out. If you miss a call from your agent, you don't think that he called them back within the same day? Do you think that literally they took the offer off the table within the matter of 5 minutes because they couldn't get him right away?
Yes.
I
I
don't.
think it's very plausible.
I don't.
In a business sense, absolutely.
If
They
they
need somebody
really-
right away. Yes.
If they really wanted Hogan as the face of this grill, they would have waited longer than 5
I
minutes.
think they were looking for somebody just to put on the grill, and it didn't matter who it
weren't
was.
even there, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm just telling you what
You're
Foreman
just trying
said.
to save face for your man, and it's a bunch of BS.
All right, let me get.
I'm telling you. Did I tell you they called me second for the George Foreman grill, and I was in the bathroom, and I missed the call.
So here's one that I never heard, that he wanted to turn heel in 1990. Everyone knows Hogan's epic heel turn in 1996 changed the entire business. Yet he claims 6 years earlier that he pitched to Vince he wanted to turn heel at WrestleMania 6.
I can believe that. Why? What is so unbelievable about that?
I just can't see it happening. His movie career was going to start.
So you think he's lying in this case?
He was the ultimate, because he saw how good it was when he turned heel. He's easy to say, hey, I would have turned heel earlier. And also because the Warrior failed, that, hey, I would have, if I turned heel, maybe I could have made him look better. No, I think this one I never heard. That's
okay. Well, I haven't heard any of these. So I don't know. We don't know what happens, in meetings. This could have happened. I'll give him a pass on this one.
I'm going to pass, okay?
You need to find a ridiculous one.
I'm going to find one.
Because that's the ones that I'm having a problem wrapping my head around.
Okay, so this is the biggie. The Make-A-Wish kid.
You got to Make-A-Wish kid to show he wasn't on.
Okay, this is the background for that Hulkster in Heaven song.
Oh.
So...
now we know what the song's about.
Yes. So he claims that the kid who was the inspiration behind Hulkster in Heaven died before he could sit front row at SummerSlam 92 at Wembley Stadium, but he didn't make it to watch Hogan wrestle in the main event of a show that Hogan was not on.
He wasn't on it.
He wasn't on it. And Hogan said he was the champion. He was not in the company at that point. He was out of the WWF during that time. And Hogan said that he died in between meeting him in the back and going to the ring. And that he was in basically an iron lung.
Okay.
And that he smelled of death while he was meeting him. He smelled and reeked of like the scent of death.
What the heck is a scent of death? There is no specific scent of death.
I guess like post-death when like
did he really say that?
This is what he said this is what he said in an interview. Yes.
That's terrible. At first I was going to say maybe he just got the shows mixed up and thought he was at a different show.
Allegedly, there's been 2 shows at Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam 92 and the one they just did.
Okay. Well, I guess not then. Look, I am a victim of pregnancy brain. I forget everything. It could be pregnancy and concussion brain. I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe Hogan has CTE. Maybe he's just a little slow at this stage in the game. I don't know. But when you open your mouth and you say stupid shit, you're going to be looked at as, somebody who's not credible anymore. And that's why I think people want to interview him just for the sheer ridiculousness of what's going to come out of his mouth next. Like they're waiting for that next ridiculous story to drop.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not like, because he's done so many interviews. So it's not like I want to interview Hogan to talk about all the great things he did in wrestling. No, I want to interview Hogan to see what kind of BS comes out of his mouth. Can he top that story?
Or, or to just say that they interviewed Hulk
Well,
Hogan.
yeah, that's a given. That's a given because, if you're a wrestling fan, you are pretty much going to know who Hulk Hogan is. You might not be a fan of his, but if you're a journalist and you get the opportunity to talk with him, you're going to jump on it. But like for me, like if I'm going to talk to him, I would try to egg him on to tell me something so ridiculous because you know you're going to go viral with it. Oh, another Hoganism. Oh,
Yeah.
what
Oh, yeah.
now?
Yeah, you're right. Because that's where I think that's why I get so incensed about it, because I don't think it's about the Hulkster telling, a tall tale. And this is the next one that I'm going to present to you, that you're going to be like, oh, okay, this isn't that he's lying. This is more of an old timer who is trying to maybe teach a young guy a lesson. Okay. And now they're calling him a liar because everything he ever said is being scrutinized and he's being called a liar. Ready?
I think so. Off of this pile driver?
Yes.
You could fit a couch cushion underneath his head. There's so much room. That's what we call protecting each other right there.
Yep. So that's the finish to Survivor Series 1991. Hogan kept warning him, protect my neck, protect my neck. Now, Hogan was putting over The Undertaker at this show. Okay. It was shocking victory at the time because nobody knew the Undertaker came out of nowhere. Hogan kept building him up, protect my neck, protect my neck, protect my neck. And the Hulkster, who would win the title back about 6 days later, told him in the back, hey, brother, I think you broke my neck. Stinger, laying there in the ring, had the officials come out, will help him to the back and everything, and led Undertaker to believe for 2 years that he almost broke his neck because of the tombstone and how he landed him. But Undertaker watched the footage and said basically what you just said, that you could fit a pillow underneath.
Oh my God.
The ring. Is that a lie or a vet trying to teach a lesson to the rookie?
What kind of lesson? He protected him. This is the you can't get him any more off the ground. I mean, his head's in his ball sack, for God's sakes. He's nowhere near the mat. Seriously. And when 2 years went by, did the Undertaker just come to the conclusion by himself, or did Hogan admit it?
No, he watched the video. It
took him 2 years to watch the video.
I guess he didn't feel like watching the title match back. But then years later, Undertaker would be a very vocal opponent of him coming back to the company because of that. Because he said he's a piece of shit, for what he did to me. Because that was hey, look, this is what these old timers do. They watch their spot. They don't want somebody coming in and doing it. But that was an old timer move to this young rookie at the time.
So why did he drop the belt only 6 days after? Do you think it was punishment? Do you think that Hogan went to Vince and said, hey, brother, he hurt my neck?
Yes.
So he was a stooge on top of
saying
that he wasn't hurt at all.
No.
See, now
it's going to work for me, brother.
All right. If his neck was severely hurt, though, don't you think WWF at the time would have sent him to a specialist to get checked out? And I mean, you don't let your top star wrestle with a broken neck. So why didn't they do anything to check to see if this was valid?
1991.
Yes. So what?
They're not. Come on. No, they're not doing stuff like that back then.
So you're going to tell me 1991, if I go up to Vince McMahon and I'm the champ and I say my neck is broken, he's going to say, just go out there and suck it up. He's not going to make me go look at a specialist.
Probably.
Oh my God. What the hell? I don't know, man. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Let's see. Let's find another one.
I never heard that one. So that makes me like him even less now.
Okay. This is another one that gets scrutinized a lot.
In 1 year. Now, okay, we all know, well, most of us know, there are 365 days in a year, sometimes 366, if you have a leap year. Did he mean maybe he wrestled twice in a day and he just worded this incorrectly? So
I think Sort of. I think he meant, the twice on Saturday, twice on
Like
Sunday.
sometimes they had to work double, or they did a run in, they had worked 2 times.
Yeah, but I also think he could have meant, and they're showing the picture of him with a tiger mask traveling to Japan.
That looks like Rey Mysterio right there. Look at the eyes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like
Oh.
losing today, gaining a day, losing a day, gaining a day.
Is that really plausible for 1 year though?
That's the argument.
I just I think he's not thinking clearly. I think he's saying things that he thinks add up and they just don't. And it makes him look like an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Terry. I'm sorry, Hulk fans. You got to agree with me on the. Come on.
It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous one.
If this was anyone else, people would be, I mean, all over him. You know what I mean? But because it's Hulk Hogan and he carries so much pristine in the wrestling business, again, who's calling the guy out? No one. Okay. Behind his back, yes.
Here's another one.
100%. Oh my God, we can go all day with this. Good Lord. This is the longest one we've ever done. He outdrank John. Wasn't he dead?
Yes. He died in 1982.
Uh-huh.
WrestleMania 6 in 1980. WrestleMania 2 was in 1986.
Yes. See, I even knew this one.
But.
Well, that's why he outdrank him, because he was dead.
Here's where I'm going to defend the Hulkster.
Oh my God. Give me a break.
Do you think perhaps that Hulk Hogan, while being interviewed, may have confused John Belushi with Jim Belushi?
Was Jim Belushi at WrestleMania 2?
This was after WrestleMania 2. So he's in Hollywood. Hulk Hogan was on the LA port. WrestleMania 3 is in 3 locations: LA, Chicago, New York. Jim Belushi is a Hollywood superstar. John Belushi would have been in New York if the story made sense for WrestleMania 2 because of Saturday Night Live. Jim Belushi would have been in LA because he's a movie star. Perhaps the Hulkster made a slip of the tongue and meant to say Jim Belushi, and everybody's running it being like, oh, he's so stupid.
No,
John Belushi died in 1982.
Read the title. He outdrank John Belushi after WrestleMania 2. For me, I would put together, okay, was John Belushi part of WrestleMania 2? When you say after WrestleMania 2, it makes me think after the show. They go out, they go to a bar, and they're drinking. It doesn't make me think, oh, WrestleMania 2 happened on so-and-so date. 6 months after, he met Jim Belushi in LA and he outdrank Jim. No, that's not what that means. That means that he had something to do with WrestleMania 2, and after the show was over, he outdrank him. That's the way I take it. You can't put months onto, oh, well, maybe it was after WrestleMania 3 or WrestleMania 4. No, he's saying after WrestleMania 2. Right. So WrestleMania 2 happened.
Yes.
And he outdrank. So apparently John Belushi was at WrestleMania 2. They went out afterwards and drank, and Hulk Hogan drank him under the table. In reality, John's dead, not a part of WrestleMania 2. So therefore, it is a huge lie. You don't get confused with his brother who's not even in the state or at the show. No, wrong.
The article suggests that maybe he also confused him with his brother as well.
No, the article's wrong.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 more.
If I say I met Matthew Perry from Friends after Barely Legal, after the pay-per-view Barely Legal, how would you take that? I would take it, oh my God, Matthew Perry was in the audience at Barely Legal, and she met him. How cool. He's a wrestling fan. No, after Barely Legal, maybe it was 5 years after when I went to a thing in California and there's Matthew Perry. No, he's trying to say that after the show was over, they went out drinking. And he's dead. He's a big fat liar, Chatster. Liar.
All right, how about this one? This is a good one. Kind of in the same vein.
Oh, God. In 1956.
Well, now let's do a little math.
What year was this?
Now, the birth of Hulkamania, depending on who you ask, either is in the AWA in 1983, okay, or in the WWF in 1984.
And what year did Elvis die?
1977 or 78.
So is he confused with an impersonator from Vegas that he might have met on the strip?
Do you think maybe the Honky Tonk Man? I mean, he was a big fan of Honky Tonk Man.
Come on. How can he say this with a straight face? He's losing his mind. He's really out there. You can't justify this. As much as you love him, you can justify this one? You can't, dude. You cannot.
This one's a little far-fetched.
Bruh, it's a lot far-fetched.
This one's
is ridiculous.
This one's out there. Hulkster broke in Memphis, right? So there's a correlation. But Hulkster broke in Memphis 2 years after Elvis passed away, tragically. Elvis was a big fan of Jerry Lawler. There was a wrestling connection. But, yeah, I don't know where the Hulkster fits into this one.
This is just, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's really, this one's too much. And why, whoever interviewed him and he told this story, why would they not say something? Because he's Hulk Hogan. I would have been like, oh, wait a minute, sir. I think he was dead. I think he was dead when you debuted. How do you, and he would have squirmed. That would be a good one. Like if somebody called him out during an interview, especially a live interview where you can't edit it. Can we book him for Eyes Up Here? Because I swear I would bury him. I don't care anymore. I'm going for the journalism.
I would do this. I would remove myself. I'm not going to remove myself now.
You would just go black.
And now, this is one I haven't heard. We'll do this as the last one. The Metallica one.
God. It's been 30 minutes. Really. Come on.
Okay, here's the last one.
Metallica is did you guys hear that? He thinks he's the lead singer of Metallica.
No, it was the bass player. It was that when they were looking for a replacement bass player.
Okay, no. Well, whatever.
And there's like 3 versions of his story of it, so plausible.
Jesus.
This one I never heard, so this is the first time I'm seeing this.
Okay. Oh.
His fight with Randy Savage on Saturday night's main event was real. Now, do you know this story?
No.
So the Mega Powers exploded on the main event, which was the Saturday night's main event primetime version of their big main show back in the 80s. This is where they started the build-up for the breakup of Hogan and Savage, right?
Okay.
What happened was Macho Man gets thrown out of the ring, takes out Elizabeth. She takes a mega bump. She gets wiped out. And Hogan leaves ringside carrying her to the back to get medical attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's at her side, right? And Macho Man comes in mad, basically saying, like, why are you at her side? Why are you, coming in on my woman?
Understood. I get it.
Okay. Well, according to the Hulkster, in the Randy Savage documentary that WWE had produced this past year, the infamous backstage fight between Hogan and Savage that led to their breakup as a team was brought up. According to Hogan, however, this altercation wasn't part of the script. He claimed that the WWE cameras happened to walk in on them while the two were engaged in a real fight.
So, well, now I would have to see the footage to see if it was a worked fight or if it was a real fight, because I can tell.
Now, the footage is pretty infamous because they were live.
Yeah.
And the Hulkster is caught on camera asking the director for a countdown.
Oh, well, then it's a lie.
So the Hulkster is sitting there with Elizabeth going like this, like, okay, all right. He's like, okay, give me a countdown. And I go, we're back. And he goes, oh my God.
Yeah, see that, and it caught it.
That one I've never heard before. And again, this one I can have an argument for. The Marks think it's real. So he's just talking to the Marks. And they're going to be like, oh, wow, it was real? Oh, my God. You guys really did hate each other.
But how stupid are you if you have seen the footage and that part is included? That makes you look like an idiot.
Not all the I'm gonna have to say you have to dig deep for that one. I don't think everybody, if you just are the layman and you're just watching
Mm.
it casually,
You
you have
have
to
an
dig
excuse. You
deep
know,
for that.
I'm done. We're done with this because you have an excuse for every lame thing that this guy says.
Well,
I mean, except for the Elvis one. That one, you know, God,
is this your
you're
new co-host?
blinded by love. That's what I texted you. You're so enamored that
Uh,
that love is blind, and you just
before we get out of here, and your
uh-huh.
closing thoughts on ECW Mania, because
Mania.
this is what's going to draw people in. It's the time Hulk Hogan almost came to ECW.
Is that what this is called? Because
Oh
then
yeah.
we're going to be liars.
Well, if everybody says he's a liar, it's going to be the time Hulk Hogan almost came to
I
ECW.
think we should name it Hogan reminisces about the time he almost worked for ECW.
Hulk Hogan lies and Hulk Hogan lies and almost came to ECW? Question mark.
Well, no, that doesn't sound right. But we'll think of a good. Yeah, we'll think of a good. Jesus,
Come on.
this is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, but it's entertaining, right?
Yes.
And it keeps people entertained. I just wish one person would be like, "You are so full of shit, sir." With all due respect, you're full of shit. What do you guys think watching this? Do you think Hogan is a piece of work, or does he get a pass because he's Hogan? And why is this ECW mania? What does ECW have to do with this?
He almost came to ECW. Hey, Flair almost came to ECW. Why can't Hogan?
Maybe that'll be the next story we hear, but this has gone way too long. So
Yes.
we appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for being channel members. More content's going to come, and a live's going to come soon. So keep watching.
All right. Catch you next time for the Eyes Up Here member exclusive. This is the Chadster. We will catch you on the flip side.